Just so you know, this video is part of a review series on the Jak games, so it is recommended that you first watch the other videos starting off with my Jak and Daxter review. Now, let me start off by being completely honest here. I did not expect this game to have been developed by Naughty Dog. I'm aware that Naughty Dog had developed a racing game for their last series, but just by looking at the cover, I thought this was a joke. Why would you make a racing game based off the Jak series? I mean, the racing segments in the Jak games are the worst part of those games, so to me it just seemed like a bad idea from the start. With that being said, I will at least give this game a chance and be as fair as I can. So, let's see if Jak X Combat Racing is worth playing. Believe it or not, but the game has a story. Do I think it's important for a racing game to have a story? No, but we'll give it a brief look. It begins with Jak and his friends going to some will reading for Crew. First off, I have no idea why any of them would want to go to this stupid reading since none of them even liked Crew. Plus, he was a villain. They really shouldn't care about what's in his will. Unfortunately, they go anyway, which is where they meet Crew's daughter named Rain, which is the most disturbing part of this for me. The thought that Crew managed to create a child is just horrifying. I mean, ugh. Even Daxter agrees with me on this.
Crew? Reproduced? Ew.
Upon meeting Rain, they have a toast in honor of Crew? Yeah, okay. After that, they find out that Crew really liked racing, and he has poisoned the wine that they all drank. In order to receive the antidote, they must compete in this racing tournament, and win. And that's it. Yeah, it's a rather lame setup, but to be fair, it is in tone with the other games in the series, and at least it provides a justifiable reason for everyone to compete in this race to begin with. It works, I just really don't care since, you know, it's a racing game. The gameplay is more important to me than some story, so why don't we take a look at that? There are 3 main modes in the game: Adventure Mode, Exhibition Mode, and Online Mode. Okay, let's get the obvious one out of the way here real quick. I haven't played Online Mode. 1, I don't have my PlayStation 2 connected to the internet to begin with, and 2, I have extreme doubts that the servers are still even up. Because of this, I can't really judge this mode, which is quite unfortunate. If the servers were still up, and heck, if people were even still playing this game, then I'd really like to give it a try. Actually, if any of the servers for the PlayStation 2 were still up, then I'd love to give those a try, especially for Battlefront 2 and Monster Hunter. So, to be fair, I'm gonna have to pass on this mode, since it's not the game's fault that this isn't really around anymore. In Exhibition Mode, you'll be able to play by yourself or with a friend and many different racing styles offered in the game. You will also be able to choose from whichever vehicle you've unlocked so far, as well as play as any character you've unlocked. It's basically free mode, and it works really well. Adventure Mode is the story of the game. There are 4 different cups in the tournament, and in each cup you'll have to do racing challenges where you can earn medals. After you've earned so many medals, you'll be able to unlock more challenges until being able to compete in the cup circuit. Once you've beaten the circuit of a cup, you move on to the next one and the cycle repeats itself. Along the way, you will unlock new characters and vehicles that correspond with the story that kinda progresses throughout the mode, though not much really happens. There are some interesting racing challenges. You of course have the basic racing on a track, fighting other racers in a dome, and time trial like challenges as well. The more unique racing challenges would be the ones like the artifact collecting, a race mode where you have to destroy as many racers as you can while driving down the track, or turbo races. Some of these challenges are pretty alright, though I really don't like the artifact challenges since they rely a lot on luck, but the rest I find to be pretty reasonable. Depending on how well you do in these challenges will determine how valuable of a medal you will get, which is fair. Admittedly, I do find it a little annoying that you need pretty much all gold to unlock the circuits, but this is just something that frustrated me personally since some of these racing challenges just didn't interest me very well. This has to do with the racing itself as well as some of the courses. Let me start off by saying that visually, this game looks really good. The tracks have some great detail to them and a nice use of colors. Many of the courses are based off locations in the series, and I like this quite a lot since some of these areas make for some great atmospheric and cool locations to race in, like the icy mountains and ancient ruins. My problem with certain tracks is that they aren't laid out very well. There have been far too many times when I've ran into walls or areas I wasn't supposed to go because the track didn't make it very clear of where I needed to go next. Having a lack of good direction is quite frustrating, to be honest. Keep in mind that this only applies to very few tracks, but it is something that I noticed right away on these courses, like the Seaport Strip. The racing itself has some great ideas. The vehicles have both a health bar and a turbo bar. If you die, you're brought right back into the race, but destroying the other racers gives you at least a few extra seconds to get ahead. On the tracks, you can pick up yellow and red power items. Red items will give you weapons that will affect racers behind you, while yellow items will give you weapons that affect the racers in front of you. Blue orbs fill up your turbo gauge, which of course gives you a speed boost. As you destroy opponents, and sometimes even as you take damage, you will fill up a dark eco bar that once full will give you stronger versions of the weapons, which is a feature that I quite like. My biggest issue with the weapons is that there are a couple you can't seem to invade and will lock onto you no matter what, which, much like the spiky shell in Mario Kart, is something that really screws over skilled racers for no reason. Though that is a bit of a nitpick. My real issues with the game is the controls. For the most part, the controls are fine with one glaring problem: turning. Turning is so weird and inconsistent, as at times your vehicle will take really sharp turns at random, or hardly at all at others. To make up for this, you can use a power slide, which I never really could get down, as it seems like you need the turbo boost to make this of any kind of use. You're supposed to be able to perform the power slide by holding down the square or circle button while turning, but this really just seems to stop your vehicle or slow it down drastically. This to me is a horrible replacement for drifting, especially since the last racing game Naughty Dog had worked on had a huge emphasis on drifting, and it worked pretty well and should have been implemented into this game in some way. Maybe I just suck. After all, the racing games that I play the most are kart racing games that lack a more realistic racing style. After all, maybe some more experience with games with similar control styles, I could get better at it, but for the time being, I just couldn't figure out how to make the power slide work. Thankfully, it doesn't matter too much about how well you do in races in order to get precursor orbs, as you will always get these no matter what. With these orbs, you can upgrade your cars, which is something I really like, as some of these upgrades can be rather useful in certain challenges, like increasing your vehicle's armor. Plus, the music in the game is pretty good, and it fits the game well. Even if I can't remember most of the tracks, it's still good. Unfortunately, I never really got that far in story mode, as I was never able to unlock a circuit, and had just the most frustrating time trying to get a gold medal in one of the challenges. If I'm being honest though, when it comes to racing games, I tend to focus on what they can offer in multiplayer, which for me personally is well done and offers a lot of options right off the bat, so I can enjoy the game there. Alright, while I said the story isn't something I found to be important to this game, there is something that I want to talk about at the end, so here's your spoiler warning. Please click to this time now to skip ahead. Throughout the game, Jack and the gang are told about this Mizo guy, who has something against Crew and has his gang race against Jack. Towards the end of the game, a racing star named GT Blitz enters the last race for Mizo, but loses to Jack anyway. Angry about this, Blitz takes the trophy and runs off, in which Jack chases after him. Jack catches up to Blitz and finds out that he is in fact Mizo, and dies in an explosion as Jack acts like an edgelord and walks away. Everyone celebrates winning the tournament, and Rain says her goodbyes, leaving behind a piece of Crew's will. It turns out that Crew had taught her how to pour the wine without getting poisoned, and that she was using everyone the whole time so that her family could be the top crime lords around. This really doesn't affect Jack and the others too much, but this small little detail actually kind of makes me wish they would have made another Jack game with Rain as the main villain. To me, there is so much potential here considering how she had used everyone and Jack's own relationship to Crew. She would have made for a far more interesting villain in another main Jack game than Count fucking Veigar was. It's overall a decent ending, especially for a game that really didn't need a story to begin with. So, would I recommend Jak X Combat Racing? Yeah. If you like racing games and are a fan of the Jak series, then you'll find plenty to enjoy here. I'll be honest, it's not quite the game for me, but I do see the value in it still. After all, there are some great tracks to race on, with only very few annoying me. There are some cool vehicles you can ride, and some different racing styles that are rather fun. Even if I do find the power slide to be really frustrating to work out, I do still enjoy the basic racing and quite like the two different kind of weapon items you can pick up. At the very least, there are plenty of racing tracks and battle domes you can enjoy enjoy playing around in exhibition mode with a friend. So if you don't really care too much about unlocking certain characters or vehicles, then you can still have fun with the game while ignoring the adventure mode. It's not a bad game at all, it's just one I don't care for. Even with that being said, I do like racing on some of these tracks from time to time, and would play the game with a friend for about an hour. Sorry, I didn't really have too much to say about this game, but for me, it was just rather mediocre. That, and I'm trying to keep these videos to about 15 minutes at most. Now, this will be the last of the games to have been developed by Naughty Dog. However, we still have one more game to talk about, and I'll see you all then.